What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you through my wildcard draft for the upcoming game week 6. So first of all, full disclosure, I'm not actually on the wildcard chip at the current moment, but I won't lie to you, making this team was mighty tempting. You guys will see later in the video, but I had 0.0 in the bank, so if I choose not to activate the chip tonight, there might be price rises, and then I might be priced out of my most optimal draft. So let's see what maybe you guys say in the comments down below. If you think this draft is an absolute banger, I might activate the chip, but currently holding off potentially till game week 7. So if you guys want to see who's in my wildcard draft, compare it to your team, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So going over the actual team, I first want to just say that I go over these wildcard drafts slightly differently to the team selections. I won't be going player by player in terms of positions, I'll be going over importance. Basically what I'll be doing here is building the draft as I did in the transfer page, just to give you guys context of my moves and the order I did them in. Now just a reminder, this is my own kind of wildcard draft, your guys might be completely different. Post them in the comments down below and maybe we can compare our players. Really interested to see how many of you are on the wildcard chip because it seems quite popular, but Twitter sounds not the best representation of the entire player base. Another important factor is going to be the 0.0 in the bank, so yes, if there are any price rises, I won't be able to afford this, and I'll be going over some changes that you guys can make if you can't afford this straight away. Not everyone's team value is the same, some have differing amounts, so if you guys have more money in the bank, you guys can afford a few upgrades here. But very kind of exciting week whenever there is a wildcard week and the team looks pretty decent. Let's just see if it gets any FPL points this game week. Now the most important player in the team is going to be your substitute goalkeeper. Yes, Bentley is my first pick in this draft, but that's just because he's 4.0. Now you guys can go for Fabianski, the only 4.0 with 1 point, but realistically this is kind of my first pick always. A 4.0 goalkeeper's my first selection. Not much in this kind of department, you guys can go for anyone that you want. I just went for Bentley because he had a chance if Jose Sá got sold, but from now till January there won't be a lot of transfer business. But yes, this kind of signifies the fact that I'll be going for one set and forget goalkeeper, as I think that you guys should. Don't really like the rotating goalkeepers, never really works. Now my official number 1 player in my draft is going to be Erling Haaland, and I currently have the Kamsi armband on him. Now a lot of options this week for the Kamsi armband, you guys can put it on Saka, Salah, whoever you want. This is kind of just a placeholder for the moment. Now I do believe that Erling Haaland is a more essential player on your wildcard. We've seen it over the opening game weeks, it hasn't really worked, and therefore he's my number 1 pick. Would actually be interested to see if any of you guys are going without Erling Haaland, how that draft would look. You can go for a stacked midfield, but you're losing a massive Kamsi option. If you guys want to make yourself a little bit scared, just go over and look at the fixture run next. Man City have a massive sea of green. Now another premium is pretty natural, I've gone for Saka. The saving you make over Salah can go quite far. And on a wildcard, I think that you have to go for some of these bigger moves. Now no complaints about the next 3 fixtures for Saka, they might even be the best in the Prem at the moment, but the following 3 are pretty tough, but I still expect Saka to do well. I think Salah probably matches him or might even outperform him, but with the price difference, you might as well do the downgrade, as it could be quite close. Now I do like Saka as my kind of second premium, there could be a Cole Palmer if you guys want to go there, but I prefer Saka. Let's see how Arsenal perform without Odegaard in that attacking department though. Now I'm going to actually jump to my defensive department because I feel like the defense is pretty set here, starting off with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now yes, he is expensive, but I do believe he's worth it, has got the clean sheet threat plus the attacking threat. And Liverpool are none of the worst fixtures in the world, but they're not the best. You guys can downgrade Trent if you want to, if you're kind of lacking funds. A Robbo is a perfectly fine substitute, just doesn't have as high of a ceiling as Trent does. So I'm going to keep Trent here, one of my more essential players, but as mentioned, a possible downgrade could be had here. Another Arsenal player to accompany Saka is going to be Gabriel. Had his price rise, but I still believe he's worth it. Now I do think Gabriel is an essential pick, or at least an Arsenal defender is. The next 3 as mentioned are strong, but the following 3 aren't that good. This is Arsenal though, against the better teams that could still keep clean sheets, and you've got that Man City fixture out the way already. So no complaints about Gabriel, even though he is more expensive. I'm perfectly fine going there, and I think that you guys should as well. Now I'm going to switch back to the attacking department because I always do favor my attacking players to my defenders, so let's take a break. Now my next midfielder is going to be kind of a no-brainer, I believe. Yes, he might be rotation prone or reduced minutes prone, but Luis Diaz is on great form. I just think overthinking might be happening here. Luis Diaz is performing, but there might be rotation. But I'm going to back him at his cheaper price point compared to Salah. So no, I'm not saying that Salah can be covered by Luis Diaz, but he has been outperforming him over the previous game weeks, and I think he'll continue to play in the Premier League. We might see some rotation here and there with the Champions League, but with this kind of new format, the teams are mixed bag, and the Prem might be prioritized by Arne Slot. So at the moment, Luis Diaz is here. Liverpool are a great attacking side. I want some coverage, and he's the best attacking option at a cheaper price point. I'll then go for a more sensible kind of Mbeumo option, a great selection, a no-brainer on a wildcard. I even brought him in on my free transfers. So with Ivan Toney leaving the club, Mbeumo has become the main talisman, should be on penalties, should be playing up front. What more can you kind of ask for? Now Brentford historically also a pretty decent attacking side, and therefore Mbeumo is going to be straight in the squad. A very essential wildcard kind of pick. So post-production Dayvy going to hop on this track because I completely forgot to talk about Raya, but the Arsenal goalkeeper is a great selection at this price. Once you're getting an Arsenal defender cheaper than you get someone like a Saliba for me it's a no-brainer. He's been performing over the kind of opening few game weeks. It just seems like a great option even though he is more expensive. Now if you guys want to go for an alternative here, Flecken is the best 4.5 in my opinion, as Brentford has some great fixtures coming up, but I can't find a replacement I like at the same price point that Raya comes in. So that's why for me you want that Arsenal kind of defensive coverage, might as well double up on it, and I generally prefer the Arsenal defense to the attack. Now that's kind of a big variation you guys can go for, is going for someone like a Kai Havertz in the forward department, and therefore doubling up on the attack with Saka compared to the defense. I'm going to go conservative, I'm going to go for the kind of defensive options, the cheaper options, but Raya packs a punch out of this premium price tag. Now let's go up front for a player that I think might not be as essential, but I still feel like he's a great option. The forwards are a little bit sparse at the moment. So that player is going to be Dom Solanke. However, you guys want to go for Nicholas Jackson as your second power forward. I've gone for Solanke here as I do prefer the fixtures. Now yes, his transfer fee was pretty high and maybe hasn't lived up to the hype at the current moment, but I back him to do pretty well under Ange. Spurs also have some pretty good fixtures, and therefore I'm going to go for him at a cheaper forward price and just kind of hope that he does well. Then our last midfielder is also pretty kind of sensible. It's going to be Semenyo from Bournemouth. Now Bournemouth's next two fixtures are pretty good. It's Southampton and I think then Leicester. So for the next two, he's a shoo-in in the starting 11. However, at his cheaper price tag, you guys can always bench him when the fixtures do get a little bit tougher. So a little bit of a short-term pick here, but I think a strong one. I mentioned this in my transfer plan, but as a Liverpool fan, I was pretty impressed with how Bournemouth were attacking, and they were quite unlucky not to score against Liverpool on the weekend. Semenyo was involved once again like he always is, and therefore I think he's a great kind of budget pick. Now kind of carrying on with these budget picks, I'm going to jump to the bench and complete our midfield department. It's going to be Rodgers for Aston Villa. So you guys might want to hide your eyes at the moment because yes, I am benching Rodgers at the moment against Ipswich, but I'll discuss who you could potentially rotate him with in the forward line. At his cheaper price point though, it's a no-brainer at 5.1 million, and at his first kind of haul last game week. The only annoying thing about him is that you might have to bench him here and there, but bench points sometimes aren't the worst. Now this kind of midfield 5 is super template at the moment. Actually this entire draft fits the template pretty well, but I'll discuss some changes after we go over the players. But let's complete our forward department, and the money allocation here isn't the best, and therefore we need a budget forward. So we could go for someone like an Evan Nielsen for the next two fixtures, or Jamie Vardy potentially for the more long term, but I've gone for Everton's Calvert-Lewin. Now Everton have a few good games, I just wish I had enough money to afford him in my actual team, but I expect DCL to tick along nicely over these upcoming game weeks. Now in game week 6 you guys can actually bench him against Crystal Palace at home for someone like a Rodgers against Ipswich, just depends on which player you guys think would do better. I do really like him though at this price point, probably the best budget forward at the moment. This is quite a flexible position and you guys can maybe punt on a few other options. So that therefore leaves our defensive department with the last 3 assets, and I'm going to jump to the bench and pencil in Rico Lewis. Now if you guys haven't seen the news, unfortunately Rodri is out with an ACL, and therefore Rico Lewis might be nailed in the Man City lineup. Now anytime a Man City option has increased minutes, you generally go for them, just such a great overall side. Now Rico Lewis might even be playing out of position and has been a little bit of a game changer, and therefore I'm going to put him in my wildcard team. Now benching him might be slightly awkward, but against Newcastle, you probably expect him to score, but you guys can always play him in game week 6. He might even come off the bench because my kind of fourth option is going to be Mykolenko from Everton, who has just returned to training. So might not be fit to start, but I do expect him to play in the future game weeks, and I needed a cheap 4.3 defender. Not that many at this price tag, so you basically have to go for an option that hasn't been playing, and that's Mykolenko who's been injured. So that's why I kind of have the Everton defender. They haven't been great at the moment, but I expect them to improve. Branthwaite's also back in training. That therefore leaves me with 4.0, so yes, we're absolutely scraping the barrel here with our money in the bank, and I'm going to give it to Greaves from Ipswich. Now once again, like the kind of goalkeepers at 4.0, not many options at the moment. Greaves seems like a good one and a reliable one. You guys can divert though if you want to go for another asset that has more punt potential. I'm just going to go for an option that should be getting 90 minutes every single game week. So Greaves does wrap up our bench, our defense, and our entire starting 11. This is pretty much the template I've seen over on Twitter though. I won't lie, it's template for a reason. When I was building this team, it naturally came to this, but there are a few variations that you guys can go for. The one I was looking at was kind of maybe going for someone other than Luis Diaz. As mentioned, there could be rotation, and therefore you might want to upgrade him or downgrade him, and that could be at the expense of Dom Solanke. So if you do get a positive update about a João Pedro, Dom Solanke to João Pedro could be on the cards, then you can use the money to upgrade Luis Diaz. Another option for Dom Solanke is Kai Havertz, but then you have to drop one of your defenders. I might go for Raya to Flecken as he's the best 4.5 in my opinion, and then use the funds to do some upgrades in other departments. Other than them though, I think the kind of team is pretty set. I would go for Trent, Gabriel, Saka and Haaland definitely, as well as Mbeumo, Semenyo and Rodgers. Those last kind of spots therefore offer some rotation if you guys want to go there, and that's probably where the differentials will probably lie. But let me know what you guys think about this team. As mentioned, if there are price rises, I can't afford this, and if you guys can't afford it, I would just drop someone like a DCL to a cheaper option. Same could be said about Dom Solanke if you guys want to do that, or Luis Diaz. All those positions are quite flexible. Let me know in the comments down below though, are you guys on the wildcard firstly, and secondly, what's your latest draft looking like, and what changes would you guys make to this team? Stay tuned though for the team selection probably coming up tomorrow, where I might finally decide to activate the chip or not. This is basically a wrap for the video guys, so if you guys did enjoy it, please don't forget to like if you didn't subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, follow me over on Twitter and join my Discord server, links both in the description. But for the time being, I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers, bye.